He has played a part in some of the biggest storylines DC Comics has ever offered, including Crisis on Infinite Earths and Blackest Night. However, he has yet to reach the status of a Lex Luthor or Joker as far as villain infamy. Today we're going to look back at Psychopirate, a character who has gone through 3 different variations over a 70-year period, and although we will briefly cover his first appearance as Charles Halstead in 1944, and his latest origin retcon in the New 52 from 2013, it is his signature story from 1965 as Roger Hayden that we will return to today. But before we begin, we'd appreciate it if you'd like and subscribe, comment, and share this video out. It really helps out the channel each and every week. Thank you. All-Star Comics issue number 23 from 1944 featured the original lineup of the Justice Society of America: Hawkman, Dr. Midnight, the Atom, the Spectre, Starman, Johnny Thunder, and Wonder Woman. And it introduced Charles Halstead, a linotyper who worked for the Daily Courier, a person who manually placed the letters of each article before going to print. He became jealous of his boss's success and decided to become a criminal, one who would prey on emotions of others as a means to their end. And all of this was an effort to ruin his boss's life. So, after introducing himself in a letter to the editor, he embarked on a crime spree. His first crime would focus on love and involve Hawkman. His second, hate, with Starman taking center stage. Dr. Midnight would tackle the fear crime, Johnny Thunder the conceit crime, greed would be given to the Spectre, and finally, the Atom would catch despair. Charles Halstead would not last long. His ultimate fate would be explained in Showcase number 56 in 1965, when DC decided to rebrand and reboot this unique and somewhat flamboyant villain. In a story that would vex both Our Man and Dr. Fate, a story titled The Perils of the Psychopirate. Our tale opens on a mound of dirt, somewhere in Asia. Kent Nelson is digging as his wife Inza watches, exhausted from the heat and humidity. She asks Kent to just use his powers, but Kent reminds her that he vowed never to use his powers as Dr. Fate for personal gain. And today, he's just Kent Nelson, archaeologist. Just then, Kent's shovel breaks through the wall of a hidden tomb. At last, he has found them. Inza exclaims, "The masks of Medusa." For centuries, these golden masks have been lost. Now they're ready for the world again. Ken explains that these masks represented the story of Medusa, that the word stone was just a metaphor for the phrase overcome with emotions, and now it's just part of the legend. After removing them from their resting place, Kent and Inza return home to their investor, Rex Tyler, who will be very excited to see their find. A few nights later, Rex Tyler, president of the Tyler Chemical Company and secretly the superhero known as Our Man, hosts a dinner party to display and celebrate Kent's success. He introduces them both to Wendy Harris, the woman he's going to marry. A few minutes later, Wendy, an actress, takes a closer look at the Medusa masks on display. So enthralled with their beauty, she does not notice a stranger next to her raise his lighter to the mask representing greed and flick it to life. The stranger thinks to himself, the irradiated gas in the lighter will do the trick. Suddenly, Wendy's face is overcome with the visage of greed. She must have the masks. She's never felt such a compulsion before, and with that, she begins ripping the artifacts from the wall. Even as Rex interrupts her, she does not relent. She must have those masks. The mysterious lighter then reaches up to one mask left behind, that of laughter, and then alights its golden smile. The entire crowd at the party begin to laugh uncontrollably. Wendy, the actress, putting on such a comical show, running with the rest of the masks under her arm and out the door. For everyone there, it's a riot of a show. But soon, the laughter wears off. Kent and Rex stand wondering what compelled them to think everything was so funny, almost as if something was forcing them to laugh. They get their senses back and pursue Wendy, who they find standing outside the building. They ask her, "Where are the masks?" The only answer she can give? "I don't know." Wendy recalls running outside, the sensation of greed coursing through her, then a beggar appeared. She felt such pity for him that she gave the mask over immediately, hoping that the golden relics would help improve his situation in life. She practically shoved them into his hands. Then, they arrived. Kent and Rex decide to investigate this further as Dr. Fate and Our Man both have the sense that this was not the last time they would hear about the Medusa masks. Later on, in a brick tower outside of Salem, Massachusetts, Dr. Fate in his blue and gold outfit tries to track the mask with magic. But they must be protected by a spell of their own, for he cannot locate them, and he can see everything. And at that moment, a mansion hideaway along the seacoast, a mansion belonging to Roger Hayden, the masks are sitting on his table, for he has now become the psychopirate. His plan worked perfectly. A stolen invitation to the party, using Rex's fiancée to commit the crime, and then just taking them from the beggar on the street. Several months before, Roger Hayden was just a prisoner, the cellmate of Charles Halstead, an aging, dying man locked up for life for the crime of shooting the atom in the chest. Of course, Roger would also learn that Charles was the psychopirate, and he would teach Roger all he knew about human emotions, and that Roger would carry on his legacy as the arch-villain, even get revenge for Charles on the law and order society that put him away. Charles would eventually die in prison soon after Roger's release, and soon after that, Roger would read about the archaeological find of the Medusa mask by Kent Nelson. Of course, Roger already knew about the mask's existence. Charles had done his own research in prison and knew the secret to activating them. Now, standing in his mansion, the mask flanked by torches, fueled by the same gas in his lighter, it was time for the grand experiment. Roger stared at each of them, and soon the effect began to reveal itself. Every mask transferred the ability to control those emotions to Roger's own face. Envy, hate, fear, greed, pride, despair, conceit, and all the others contorted Roger's facial features. And now, with a simple movement of his hand, Roger could compel these emotions onto others. Late the following afternoon, Roger Hayden enters the Gotham City Bank in a regular suit so as not to attract attention. He discards a newspaper into a receptacle and then waves his hand over his face, releasing the emotion of curiosity upon all within the bank. Everyone, the customers, the teller, the bank manager, they're all consumed with the need to know what the discarded newspaper says. They all gather around it. They become ignorant of anything else occurring in the immediate area. This is when Roger opens the front door for his gang of thugs. He will stand watch while they do what they came to do. No one will bother them. They are too curious about the old headlines. However, one man can see what's going on. Dr. Fate. The spell that was meant to track the Medusa masks has conjured the image of a strange man outside a bank. For Dr. Fate, the man seems innocuous, but it would be best to investigate in case he knows anything about the stolen artifacts. Dr. Fate immediately flies to the bank site. He can sense evil emanating from inside the vault and decides to enter in astral form. He sees the four men emptying the safety deposit boxes and lunges forward with a single punch. The three men draw their guns, but Dr. Fate blasts the money and coin on the table in their direction. The distraction is enough for him to land another blow to two of the men. Then a shoulder tap into the third. Finally, a blistering uppercut to the fourth. Meanwhile, Roger Hayden is getting nervous. His men should have been finished by now. He enters the bank knowing the curiosity spell would not last long. He enters the vault to see Dr. Fate in control. He must do something fast. His first thought, overwhelm Dr. Fate with pride. With a wave of his hand across his face, Roger infuses Fate with pride. The pride of knowing he has overcome a multitude of supervillains in his past. Then, Roger adds frustration with another wave of his hand. The frustration that Fate may never again be victorious in battle with these infamous criminals. Fate's helmet changes, takes on the look of both emotions, and then the illusions. Fate sees all of his past foes before him, together, in unison, a challenge he is now fearful of never overcoming. Wotan is the first ghost to leap at Fate, and although Fate attempts to stop him, he cannot, because behind him emerges Mayor, a mystical foe who melts Dr. Fate into the floor. Dr. Fate uses his magic to propel him upwards like a rocket and out of the grip of the melting concrete, and then, nothing. He's alone. The vault is empty. Roger and his gang are gone. Of course, Fate thinks to himself it was all a trick, and now the robbers have gotten away. Meanwhile, in the dark subterranean floors of Tyler Chemicals, Rex Tyler dons his alter ego, Our Man, complete with the hourglass neck chain. Our Man gets his powers from Miraclo, a special chemical pill that lasts only 60 minutes. Then, before he can take it again, he must wait at least another hour. Time is always of the essence, and especially now, since Wendy has broken off their engagement out of embarrassment. But he knows she's innocent, and he must prove it. Our Man then hears of the robbery, arrives at the bank, only to learn of Dr. Fate's involvement in the newspaper everyone was so curious about. He's told by the manager that Dr. Fate touched the newspaper and raced off. Our Man borrows that same paper, heads to a nearby newsstand and asks if the owner remembers who he sold it to. Of course he does. The same man arrived in a fancy foreign car, a red Mercedes Bentley. It was now time to take his pill, allowing him to leap in the air and scan the city for that very same car. 20 minutes later, Our Man spots it, parked just outside an open-air museum gallery. Roger Hayden can be heard explaining to his men that everyone cleared out because they were overcome by despair. But not his men. They took the counter-emotional capsule to protect against the Medusa mask effects. Having found his target, dropping like a bomb, Our Man lands on top of an iron statue, toppling it over onto two of the thieves. Roger reacts. He tries to move his hand over his face to cast another emotion onto our arriving hero, but Our Man is too quick and lands a solid right hook to Roger's jaw, interrupting the process. He then leaps through a marble statue towards the next member of the gang, who throws a smaller statue at Our Man's head, only for Our Man to catch it mid-flight. After setting it down gently, Our Man, like a cannonball, somersaults through the air directly into the back of the third of Roger's gang. The remaining two race for the car, desperate to turn the engine over as Our Man comes at them fast. Our Man lands at the back bumper just as the Mercedes roars to life, but it's too late. With enhanced strength, Our Man becomes a human jack and flips the car forward, ejecting the two thieves. As Our Man places the car back down, Roger Hayden musters just enough strength to raise his hand to his face, and with a single movement, he activates the powers of the Medusa mask. Our Man is stopped in his tracks. Immediately, our hero no longer sees an enemy, but a friend, a pal, and Roger tells him that's exactly who he is, as Our Man extends his hand to help Roger up. The face of Roger Hayden is distorted in that of a friendly grimace. Roger asks Our Man, since they're pals, how about a helping hand? Our Man tells him, whatever you want, chum. Roger instructs Our Man to place the artwork into his van. Easy as can be. And then Our Man waves as the psychopirate and his crew drive off, exchanging pleasantries. A few minutes after the psychopirate made his escape, Dr. Fate descends down onto the scene. The friendly demeanor of Our Man is replaced with that of an angry scowl. Dr. Fate is shocked to see that Our Man helped him get away, but Our Man explains to him how the sudden and overwhelming need to be friendly overpowered his common sense. He just could not help himself. Dr. Fate explains that the same thing happened to him at the bank, but touching the affected newspaper let him hear. And of course, Dr. Fate can see everything, except the masks. That is why he did not interfere with what Our Man was doing at the museum. He can now use his magic to track the psychopirate back to the masks. Using the mystic arts, Dr. Fate propels himself back into the sky with Our Man in tow. The clouds themselves become arrows pointing the way to our master criminal and his home beside the sea. Using a spell that turns their forms into drills, the two heroes drop into the house without harming the structure. They land in the chamber with the Medusa masks on display. All of the thieves of Roger's gang are ready to go, but something is strange. Our heroes were expecting the fight of their lives, except none of the thieves are holding guns. Instead, one has a pizza, a sewing needle, an electric fan, and last, a water pistol. However, those objects are deadlier than the two think. At that very time, Roger Hayden has donned his new costume, that of the psychopirate, the emir of emotions. And from behind a curtain, he's assaulting both heroes with as many phobias as their mind can hold, making them terrified to act. Dr. Fate is affected by acrophobia, the fear of air currents, and Our Man, hydrophobia, the fear of water. When Fate and Our Man turn, they are confronted with a pizza and a needle. Psychopirate gives Dr. Fate cytophobia, the fear of food, and Our Man acmephobia, the fear of pointed objects. They are scared beyond action, shaken, sick, overcome with the need to flee, to run away. As these mortal fears invade, Dr. Fate knows he cannot help himself, but maybe he can help Our Man. He raises a shaking finger towards the two men holding the water pistol and the needle and magically transforms them into puffs of smoke. But it's been more than 60 minutes. Our Man's powers have disappeared. Still, he wades into the scuffle and is able to land a knockout blow to the man holding the fan and squash the pizza into the other's face. Dr. Fate has been released from his fears now. With that, the Master of the Mystic leaps and lands two simultaneous fists to the other two gangsters. Now all four were out of action. The only one left to deal with now is the psychopirate himself. But instead of panic, the sound of laughter emanates from the back of the room. The psychopirate has made his appearance and has now thrown a secret control panel next to the display of Medusa masks. They all begin to glow. From the mask, a dozen conflicting emotions bombard both Dr. Fate and Hourman. The two heroes turn towards each other. Hourman, his face distorted into one of envy, tells Dr. Fate that he's always been jealous of his mystic abilities and that he's determined to prove his powers are better than mere magic. The two begin to fight, blow after blow, insult after insult. Dr. Fate determined just as much to prove his abilities superior. They insult each other's outfits. Hourman insults Dr. Fate's age. Dr. Fate swears to make Hourman a memory. Emotion after emotion, punch after punch. The two friends fight until they are exhausted and can no longer continue. This is when the psychopirate seizes the opportunity. He waltzes over to Hourman and with one punch knocks him down. And as he turns to Fate, he explains that the hypothalamus and the septal region of the brain control emotions, and the Medusa masks control them. And then a left cross to Fate's chin. But, to the intense surprise of the Emir of Emotions, Fate returns the punch. Psychopirate forgot that he's not the only one who knows about the workings of the brain. And as the Psychopirate hits back, Fate returns each strike with ever-increasing ferocity, until the Psychopirate lies unconscious at Fate's feet. Fate explains that even before entering the house, he had used magic to shut off his emotions, but his body still moved on logic and instinct, like a dazed prizefighter who keeps striking back at his opponent. And now, to prevent him from ever using his powers again, Fate places a magical mask of his own over Roger's face. This one, blank. No expression whatsoever. When Hourman comes to a few minutes later, the two friends reunite. Hourman tells Fate that it was an awful chance battling him when he did not know his power had run out, but Fate tells him that he did know. The sand in the hourglass around Hourman's neck was at the bottom, and now the Psychopirate is behind bars, and Wendy Harris's name has been cleared. Thus, Rex and Wendy continue their engagement, except now Rex explains to her that he's been leading a double life, and if she's to be his wife, she must know he is Hourman. For Wendy, all she cares about is that Rex will be her husband 24 hours a day. Thus ends the first appearance of Roger Hayden as the new Psychopirate. However, Roger's transformations are not over yet. After being killed by Black Adam during Infinite Crisis, resurrected as a Black Lantern in Blackest Night, only to be killed again by Superboy, it's Superman Volume 3 Issue 23 from 2013, where Brainiac would infect 20 citizens with a psionic virus, and one of them would wander into a museum, steal the Medusa mask, and don it once more. The Psychopirate would once again rise, and this time choose to battle DC's icon of icons, Superman. I hope you enjoyed this look back into pop culture and comic book history. If you want more comic book fun right away, click on the thumbnail at the end of the video for our look back at the origin story and first ever appearance of Anarchy, the Batman's most socially and politically divisive foe. You'll be glad you did. I thank you for watching. Until next time, remember I'm still your reluctant gringo from somewhere south of the border. Salute and a huevo.